While Rome expanded in the west and China grew stronger in the east, one forgotten people quietly became the true masters of international trade. They built fortunes without conquering vast territories. They connected civilizations, carried priceless goods across continents, and shaped world history through commerce rather than war. Today, almost nobody remembers their name. Far from the halls of Rome and the palaces of China, a different story began to unfold in the heart of Central Asia. Along the banks of the Zarafshan River, where the land runs green between stretches of desert, an Eastern Iranian-speaking people took root. The Sogdians, never numbering among the world's great conquerors, built their lives in a network of oasis towns nestled in what is now Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. By the 6th century BCE, their distinct identity was already taking shape, recognized even by distant Chinese chroniclers who called them the merchants and nomads of the West. While empires swept across their homeland, first the Achaemenid Persians, then the armies of Alexander, later the Kushan kings, the Sogdians endured, adapting to each new ruler without losing themselves. Their language, customs, and way of life held fast through centuries of shifting power. In the records of foreign courts and the ruins of ancient cities, the Sogdians appear again and again, not as conquerors, but as survivors, shaping their own destiny at the crossroads of the Silk Road. Between the Kizilkum and Karakum deserts, a narrow ribbon of green winds through the heart of Central Asia. Here, the Zarafshan Valley cuts across an otherwise arid world, its waters feeding fields of wheat, orchards, and cotton that support city life where survival would otherwise be impossible. The Sogdian homeland was never a wide-open plain. It was a corridor hemmed in by desert and mountain, a place where every settlement depended on the next reliable well or river crossing. Samarkand and Bukhara, names that echo through the records of travelers and merchants, rose as oasis cities, each a hub where caravans converged, rested, and traded. These were not isolated outposts, but links in a chain stretching from the Pamir passes in the east to the steppe and Persian lands in the west. The mountains to the east, sharp and snowbound, offered only a handful of dangerous passes, forcing all east-west movement through these narrow gateways. There was no single road, but a branching network of tracks and relay points, each route shaped by geography and guarded by local knowledge. In Chinese chronicles, Samarkand is listed among the great markets, a city where goods and people from every direction gathered and where the skills of the Sogdians turned opportunity into wealth. Here, agriculture made urban life possible, but it was the concentration of travelers, merchants, and information in these cities that transformed location into power. Geography alone offered a chance. It would take organization, trust, and ambition to turn that chance into mastery over the Silk Road. On a lonely watchtower near Dunhuang, 5 nearly complete Sogdian letters sat sealed and bundled, their ink pressed onto paper nearly 2,000 miles from home. Dated to the years 312 and 313 CE, these documents open a rare window onto the hidden machinery of Silk Road commerce. One letter, written by the merchant Nanai Vandak, details payments due, caravan losses, and a debt to be settled not in coins, but in silk and spices. Another records a request for military protection, while others list loans, cargoes, and the urgent need for settlement after disaster struck a distant partner. These letters reveal a world where Sogdian merchants coordinated across deserts and borders without a single capital to command them. Each agent worked from a distant post, Dunhuang, Kutsang, or Guzang, yet remained tied to partners in Samarkand or Bukhara through correspondence and credit. Debts and payments traveled by letter, protected by seals and wrappings that secured both trust and secrecy. Diaspora communities, Sogdians living far from their homeland, supplied the contacts, local knowledge, and support that kept the network alive when caravans vanished or markets turned hostile. Credit flowed as freely as silk, with merchants able to buy, sell, or settle accounts without carrying all their wealth in hand. Instructions, warnings, and news moved along the same routes as pepper and cloth, with information guarded as closely as gold. In this distributed system, the strength of the network did not depend on imperial armies or royal decrees, but on the relentless movement of people, letters, and trust across the spine of Eurasia. Silk, light as air and worth its weight in gold, moved west from China in the hands of Sogdian merchants. But silk was only the beginning. Bundles of white cloth, copper ingots, pepper from the Indian coast, glassware, horses, and precious stones joined the stream of treasures that crossed the deserts and mountains. Each of these goods passed through a chain of markets, never traveling the whole distance in a single leap. Instead, they changed hands again and again, with every transfer adding value through storage, repackaging, or simply the knowledge of where demand ran highest. The Roman taste for silk was legendary, but Roman buyers rarely met Sogdian traders face to face. Instead, goods flowed into Persia, where Persian merchants managed the final connection to the Mediterranean. The Sogdians supplied these Persian channels, thriving as the invisible architects of exchange. India's role was equally vital. Its spices, pepper, and fine textiles traveled north to Central Asia, while religious ideas and artistic styles moved with the same ease as cargo. Chinese markets, meanwhile, opened to foreign luxuries brought by Sogdian caravans, glass from the west, horses from the steppe, and jewels from India. This was a relay economy, built on trust and timing. Sogdian wealth grew with each successful handoff as merchants managed risk, credit, and information across thousands of miles. Only high-value cargo could survive such a journey. The cost of transport demanded that every bale and barrel be precious. In this world, the Sogdians mastered the art of turning distance itself into profit. A Sogdian merchant waking in Samarkand or Bukhara faced a world where words could mean survival. Few merchants traveled the same road twice without crossing a border, meeting a new ruler, or trading with people who spoke a different tongue. Sogdian was spoken in the markets and backstreets of Central Asia, but it was only one tool among many. Alongside their native language, Sogdian traders picked up Persian, Turkic, Chinese, and Indian dialects, enough to draft contracts, settle disputes, and read the mood of a foreign court. Translation was not just a matter of words, it was the key to trust, credit, and safe passage. In the hands of these merchants, language became a shield and a bridge, smoothing negotiations and helping them navigate local laws and unfamiliar customs. Nowhere is this practical mastery more vividly displayed than in the Hall of the Ambassadors at Afrasiab, the ancient heart of Samarkand. Here, in a chamber measuring about 11 square meters, the western wall stretches 3.4 by 11.5 meters and bursts with painted envoys. The mural's inscription names Var-Human, the Sogdian ruler, surrounded by ambassadors from China, the Turkic steppes, Persia, and India. Each envoy brings gifts and gestures, each costume and posture a silent negotiation. The court scene is more than a record of a single celebration. It is a portrait of Sogdian diplomacy, where commercial skill and cultural fluency earned a place at the center of the Silk Road's political stage. Merchants who could translate contracts also translated etiquette, reading the unspoken rules that kept alliances alive in a world where fortunes turned with the wind. Miunei's words pressed onto paper nearly 2,000 miles from home, carry the ache of separation. Stranded in Dunhuang with her young daughter, she writes of abandonment and fear, living as a servant in a Chinese household. Her letters plead for help from distant family and a Zoroastrian priest, whose charity becomes her only safety net in a foreign land. The daily cost of Sogdian commerce was often paid in loneliness and longing, as merchants and their families could be scattered across continents for years. Zoroastrian fire altars stood at the heart of Sogdian settlements, but Buddhist, Manichaean, and Christian communities also left their marks in letters and art. On the walls of Pinjakent, paintings show banquets, music, fine robes, and the rituals of both home and faith. These images capture both the splendor of the elite and the rhythms of ordinary life, where trust, kinship, and communal support were as vital as gold or silk. By the 7th century, new powers pressed on the Sogdian heartland from every side. Arab armies advanced into Transoxiana, gradually absorbing the oasis cities into the expanding caliphate. The old order faded as Persian became the language of administration and urban life, while Islam slowly reshaped the region's religious and political landscape. Reports of fierce resistance, like the stand led by Divashtich, hint at local efforts to hold on to independence. But over decades, these centers lost not only their autonomy but also their distinct voice. Sogdian language retreated from public life, replaced by Persian and later Turkic tongues as new rulers and migrants settled the land. Assimilation was not a single event, but a gradual blending of customs, loyalties, and daily speech. By the 10th century, the unique Sogdian identity had faded from view, not through disappearance, but through transformation, as descendants merged into the wider currents of Central Asian society. Political authority and cultural memory unraveled at different speeds, leaving traces that lingered long after the last Sogdian letter was sealed. Long after the Sogdian courts fell silent and their language faded from city streets, the threads they wove through Eurasian trade continued to bind distant worlds together. Sogdian words for paper, ink, and inn still echo in early Uyghur and Persian, reminders of the merchant class that once set the terms of exchange. The Sogdian script, adapted by the Uyghurs, became the backbone of administration and commerce for centuries, its vertical strokes linking generations of scribes from the steppes to the Gobi. In the art of later Turkic and Islamic dynasties, motifs first seen on Sogdian silks, including winged creatures and pearl-bordered medallions, reappear, carried across time by hands that never knew their origin. Coins bearing Sogdian inscriptions and imagery circulated long after the last Sogdian city lost its autonomy, their familiar designs trusted by new rulers and old traders alike. The legacy is not a story of direct rule or ownership, but of influence, practices, signs, and skills that outlasted the people who created them. In the ruins of Samarkand and Bukhara, in the scripts of Uyghur documents, and in the scattered coins of Central Asia, the Sogdians' commercial genius endures, quietly shaping the world that came after. Empires rise and fall, but the Sogdians proved that commerce, not conquest, can move mountains and shape worlds. Today, global trade still hinges on trust and unseen connections. History isn't lost. It's waiting to be rediscovered. Like the video and subscribe to Lost Empires for more hidden stories.